communication models. So whatever we communicate to the child will pick up. You look at the child will look at you. And if you have a child who are slightly, maybe have some disrespectful behavior, you have to think back. Have I contributed to that behavior? Okay, next. Okay, 5 positive approach. Contain yourself. Okay, sometimes some children, their behavior triggers us. Again, this bowl, I tell her 10 times, still like that. What? Trigger already. So we need to contain. We need to consider the meaning behind the behavior. We need to connect with the child through a reflection. Are you feeling a little bit tired, Anne? Like that. And then coach child on alternative behavior. Can you please take a seat first? Look around the class, which is an alternative, which is another corner you could go to that I am sure will be safe for you. In the case of Ben's example, my example, throwing blocks. Comment praiseworthy moments. Don't just say very good, we all know that. Okay, by sitting so nicely, you are helping your friends to know we are ready to start the class. Next. Okay, families, parents, family members, and caregivers are most important teachers and communication models. Sometimes what we communicate with the children bring the best out of them. Sometimes we forget and we become too friendly with the children. So we need to know. Yeah. Okay, next. Yeah, moving forward, I think Jackie will take us through the other set, the one on this side. Families, teacher, and children. And that wraps my session. I think you need to stretch. I'm not sure what time does it have. Half an hour, huh? So you have any questions? I hope that it has also given you an idea of what to do when Yes, Ming?
So you mentioned we shouldn't use the thinking corner.
The naughty corner, right? Thinking,
yes.
Then it evolved to thinking.
Okay.
So, thinking is a better word, yeah.
So how do we balance us teachers setting the boundaries in the classroom and allowing the children to express their feelings at the same time?
Yes, that one always comes up, okay? Because it's almost unrealistic to expect all the children to behave in a way that will help us finish the class or whatever. Number one, you have to ask yourself, is it okay if I don't finish this class? Is this child needing more time to express? Thanks for bringing up the thinking corner. We used to progress from the naughty chair, naughty corner, to the thinking chair, thinking corner. But I realized, when they sat there, okay, I'm talking about 5 to 6. I often take the 5 to 6. They sat there. They don't know what they think about. Really? You go there and think about what you did. Then after 1 minute, you go and, have you thought about what you did? Then the child look at me. I realized, were you thinking about anything? No. He said that the whole time, he wasn't thinking. Because some of this is like, we have to be specific. We have to understand why we put them in the thinking corner. Because after a while, I realized is whatever corners are, nothing helps. What they want is for me to say, come sit next to me. But am I allowing that kind of behavior? Some yes, some no. I have to decide. Then it goes back. The boundaries is, I will demonstrate. This is not acceptable, but let's talk about it. 5 to 6 years old can talk like that. Because I cannot finish my lesson. Can we finish the lesson first? And for children, for 5 to 6 years old, I can say, is your action helping us? And they get it. The choices you make, is it safe for us? Is it safe for you? So there must be boundaries. Definitely, I'm not asking you to go in and free reign, And I realized one thing. if I build relationship with my children, very likely this behavior is acceptable within a range, you know. So we have to know. You know, in my early years as an educator, I go for things that are external, extrinsic, right? You sit nicely, I give you sticker. Still don't sit nicely, go corner. Go corner from naughty to thinking. Thinking to, I realize they're not thinking. And then say it doesn't work. Then I build relationship. So that is the difference. And when you build relationship, very easily, you just look at phone, you look at aunt, and they know what you expect them to do. Really, really, you need to build that relationship. Yeah. It's time to, for us to know the science of it has been shared. What is the art of doing it? You have to find it in your own classroom.
So, sorry, for 4 to 5 or maybe 3 to 4? Can the thinking share be used as like an emotional regulator instead of just go sit down and
3
think?
to 4, is it?
Yes.
3 to 4, 4 to 5. Maybe after, towards the life stage of my, as an educator, I address the emotions first. I don't give in, okay? But I won't fight about anything else, I won't fight about anything else at that moment when they are like, they won't hear you. You think or not, the best is to hold them, sit next to me. We'll see what to do after. Yeah. Okay.
Excuse me, Teacher B, I have a question. So just now, just to add on to what Teacher Nick brought up about emotional regulation, what if we say that, would you like to have a time to calm down?
That's why
Yes.
at one point, Jackie brought in the toys. Every class has a box. Okay, hold the ball, squeeze. Yeah.
So there are certain things that you allow them to be able to exercise or to relieve their stress or to help them to calm down. Okay.
Correct.
I have just one more question.
Yeah.
Earlier on, you were very, very helpful in helping us to understand the different developmental milestones of the different ages, right? And it is until 5 to 6 years old that you say that they can understand concepts like today, yesterday, tomorrow. Okay, so this brings me to the part about, at the K1 level, we usually also would like to help them to understand the days of the week, right? And so we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then usually what I would do would also be saying that yesterday was Sunday, tomorrow would be Tuesday. So what is it today? Do you think it's worth the while to still teach them, even though developmentally they are not going to get it yet?
Of course, because that is sequence. Sequence help to add to the concept of consequence. First, I sat next to Nick. Next, I push him. Next, so before, after, next. That helps to build the concept of sequence. So I would still do that. And that I feel that is, it makes them very happy when they get it right.
Okay, so does this mean that it can be a principle that we learn, that even though developmentally we know that they are not really yet, right? But yet it doesn't stop us from teaching them.
Okay,
right?
that depends whether, what is the cognitive process that you are looking for. The ZPD, some parts is that they never reach one.
Yes, they will never reach.
Correct, they will never reach.
So we have to also judge, right?
You
like
have
what
to
teacher
decide.
Jackie was saying, being a teacher is so difficult because there's so many factors we need to think about.
Yes.
So which means that, the ZPD, we know that this is what we're going to go forward, but we also need to consider whether it is something that is totally beyond their reach.
Yes.
Or they can still reach, but with a little.
Correct.
Okay, can.
Because sometimes I try 2 days and then they cannot, then I say cannot. But I do this because they get their children very excited. So I do it. Yeah. So I'm not making it say like, wow, you fail, you pass. No lah. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, ZPD means zone of proximal development. All right, this is one of the Vygotsky things that we talk about. Yeah. So.
Okay. All right.
All right, thank you so much, Teacher B. It's been very, very insightful, very helpful. Thank you so much, Naka. Okay, we will have...
Must be also a break in between, and you would know your child. If by putting him or her on the chair, by sort of like breaking that, then I will do it. Okay, you sit, and then while you are sitting here, you decide. You know, but I'm not saying that we give in to the children in a sense. But I'm going to say to the child, you sit here and you decide what you are ready to do. Okay? And maybe you can think in terms as a safety officer. You are walking around in the construction site and you tell me what is safe or not safe. That is if the child insists on playing blocks. Then I will make him the officer. He will have to generate for me what is a safe way to play, what is not so safe. So some of these thoughts that you could have. Yeah?
B, I have a question.
Yes.
So far, we have been talking about disruptive behaviors or distractive behaviors that are safe and not safe. What happens if it's distracting behaviors that are just maybe making sounds, singing out loud, or just not listening and deciding to do their things that they want by talking by themselves or talking to a friend? How would you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Children don't suddenly come in one day and do all these things. It's usually a build-up. So I would say that, let me help myself understand. Is the child only doing all this sound effect during my lesson? Is the child only doing sound effect during my storytelling? You know, it depends on the context, on who the child is. Hey, but the child is able to do Thai lesson very well. Next step. Is it because the child has proficiency in my language that he doesn't or she doesn't understand? You know, so if it's a case of, then I'll say, hey, this is very good when I tell a story. Later, I'm going to tell a story. You make the sound effect for me. So I will introduce context to the child.
And I just have one more question. What happens if we really need extended time to talk to a child?
Okay.
And the only time that you can talk to is when during the free play time.
Yes.
How would you explain to the child to say that, okay, because of what happened, I need to talk to you, but we can only do it during playtime? How would you break it to the child in a way whereby it's not shaming and whereby the child knows that you are a champion for him or her?
Yeah, I like the word no champion for him. Depends how old the child is. Because not every age group is effective. Wait until playtime, then I talk to you. Especially the 2 to 3 year old, you know, or the 3 to 4. Yeah? And it depends. It depends on whether where the child is, we must know. And if it is during playtime, you know, I will have to assure the child. We will play, but I need to just understand something and make it brief. And of course, the child at that point will say, yes, okay, everything, okay, very good, I will not do it again, and he go play. Right? It could also happen. So then I will have to ask myself, is it effective for this child, for me, to speak to him during playtime? So we have to wait. Yeah. And if I think about it, there is nothing that I can, it has to be playtime. Do I have an alternative? Maybe during the Thai class, before they start, can I have a brief moment, or after, or you know, you just find and adjust. You know, there are ways to do it, but I think the principles behind is don't shame the child, make it brief, make something that he can understand or she can understand. Yeah, make it brief. Don't tell long story. I used to tell long story, Jackie. When the child misbehave, right, and they cry or whatever, I say, it's enough, stop crying. You know, when you go to national service, oh my, the child is like how old? 5 years old, I talked to him about national service in my very early years. And I'm thankful that I've got mentors, you know, of course, you know, who demonstrate how we should be doing to talking to these children. And sometimes they say, you're a boy. Don't cry, boys don't cry. I heard before. But you are placing and expectations on the child that he cannot understand. So make it brief. I need you to be safe. I need your friend to be safe. I think you have to stop this now. Stay with me. Help me with the classroom setup. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Ben?
How about where they're playing, not doing the work, and then during playtime, is it to have them say, well, you played during work time, so now you have to finish your work during the playtime? That's...
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to do that too. Okay? Hey, you are using your playtime, you are using your writing time to play. Are you telling me that it's okay for me to take your playtime to do writing? Hey, some children very quickly say, oh no, right. Some don't get it. Some don't get it. It's okay, it's okay. And then if that is the case, right, during playtime, I will really say, come Ben, sit next to me. I will be with you. Let's finish this and we go play. I'm not keeping you for the whole playtime. We have to be very clear with the children. They need to play, okay? Yes. Do you need him to or her to finish the work?
I think it should be because it's a small one.
Yes, yes.
They cannot play. They do not care about that. What
Okay.
should we do?
Okay, maybe you want to say it one more time so that May can translate. Yeah.
I said if it happened like teacher Ben said, like, okay, you use your playtime during the lesson time, and then okay, right now you have to finish your work and you cannot play with your friends. But even it happened like that, that person still cannot finish because he keep looking at his friends or whatever
Okay.
until time for lunch or whatever.
Yes, okay.
What should we do?
What should we do? We
Yes.
should observe the child. Does he or she have an understanding? That means you want him to do a certain work, and is it because he doesn't understand the instruction? We rule them out. He understands the instruction. He just doesn't want to do it. Then it's a discipline issue. Whether the child is able to self-regulate and make sure he completes. If the child is 3-year-old, I would say, look again. If the child is 4 years old, 5, and is it at the start of the year? Wow, so much to color, I cannot. When I was 4, I only color a smaller picture. We have to rule that one out. If the child just has no interest to do the work, and I will have to find out homeschool partnership coming up. Is the child also displaying this at home? Is it an attention issue? It's between the child can do and the child don't want to do. There is a difference. I have to decide. If the child can do and don't want to do, I want to know why. Understand his behavior. It's a build-up. It's usually a build-up. It cannot be just one time. Okay? And then if the child cannot do, then I have to find out why. Okay? If it's a case of a child completely not about cannot do, I just don't want to do, it's a behavioral issue that we need to tackle with the parents, strategize with the parents. So we have to slow down, and before we decide what to do, we have to ask ourselves this question. Number one, is it realistic to expect the child to do? Is it beginning of the year, middle, or end? Number two, is it a case that he doesn't understand? Number three, is it a case that he don't want to do? Okay, I think it should be the end already, Zoe. Okay, most communication impacts behavior. Learn to recognize the impact of our body language, how to say it, where we look, how we look, and how we move. Okay, and most of the time, children are very sensitive. Okay, I come into the class and I give instructions, and the children, there's this child ran to me, are you angry with us? I said, no, I'm not angry, I'm just like in a hurry, you know. And then another child, ever experienced, I was sitting and giving instruction, the child came to me, I want to tell you something. I I say, okay, just, I went on to do whatever I was doing. And the child very seriously told me, look at me, communications. Our non-verbal impacts the children. And we are I will not move him out of the circle. I will move him next to me. I will move him next to a friend whom he may be able to work better. Okay? I will get the child to sit alone in that sense, a little bit off, but the child is not going to a corner. Okay? And be able to still listen to your lesson. Next. Child melts down, refuse to complete the task. Ever happen, everybody is happy, and then the child is choosing, most of the time it's craft, right? When they have the choices to make. You want the ice cream stick? Oh my, quantum, my pink ice cream stick. Must be pink, Must really be pink. And then, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want the pink. What are you going to do? No more pink, You cannot say give her another pink. No more pink ice cream stick. So what do we do? What do we do? So we can tell them, ding. Provide alternative ways of handling the feelings. I know you like pink. Can I give you a pink feather instead? Okay? There are certain reasons why they like that particular color. And I have to know right at that point, is this child being unreasonable in a way? Everything must be pink. Is it by choosing pink, it will affirm a certain thing in her? Sometimes. We need to know. Maybe pink reminds me of my mother who is traveling. So we need to know. So if you know, I give alternative. I don't have pink ice cream stick, but I'm going to give you a pink feather. Okay? So then again, I want to show you how we have progressed. Earlier in my journey as an educator, it's pretty, either this or that. Yes, we do that. But now we are learning to speak to the feeling first. Okay, I know you're upset. Stop crying, it's just pink. Yes? Okay. Ben, also.
Is that, don't we have to be careful of that, because we'll be rewarding that behavior and they learn to just do that constantly when they don't get what they want?
Yes, you are right. Am I rewarding that behavior? That's why I say take into consideration where the child comes from. I mentioned if this child is either pink or nothing, I need to know why. Speak to the behavior, speak to the feeling. Is that a connect? Is that a whatever? And we all know by allowing a certain behavior, we may be rewarding them. Oh, I make a fuss. Teacher Ben sure to give me pink. So you need to know your child, whether there is a connect. After placing that offer to her, if she doesn't stereotype her, after offering the alternative to the child, whether a pink ice cream stick or a pink feather, and the child doesn't want to and not consolable, what will I do? I will decide that she doesn't need to complete the task at that point. It's more important for me to understand what is the big fuss. Sometimes we look at it, why make such a big fuss? We need to know. Okay, some of these things we need to decide based on what we know about our children and their family. Okay, next. Observe what makes the child wants to continue negative behaviors. Some children, without very persistent, keep teasing. No, the examples that I have used are examples that I have seen in classes. So there is this child sitting next to the friend, keep doing this to the friend. they are 6 years old, and the child is like, stop it, it's lesson time, stop it, you know, and the teacher said that, stop it. Now we finish this activity and you don't do it now, you play later or whatever. Wow, just wouldn't budge. If the child is persisting in a negative behavior, what do? We have to observe and think what is making that negative behavior so interesting to the child. Yeah, next. Peer influence, what would you do? So, for example, they think that is very funny, you know, and they want to be like somebody who is funny, right? And peers' influence could also be they have observed certain things that is happening. Hey, that gives me attention. My teacher gives the attention to Aunt. Because Aunt keep doing that, my teacher spend the whole time talking. I want to do that too. You know, some of this we have to know. We have to know our children. Huh? Next. Okay, redirecting. I'm wrapping up already. And sit beside the child. State what the child is to do with her hands. Okay, be very descriptive. Yeah? And tell the child what will happen. Like what Ben was saying, if you are, you know, too much and you will fall off the chair. Some of this, the consequence. And if the disruptive action continues, do exactly what you said you would do. Okay? If we are all seated on a chair, and I have already given the cautionary, given you the measures to understand, you know. And if you keep rocking, I may have to take the chair away, and you may have to stand a while until you are ready to sit. Okay? And if the child keeps doing it, and then we take the chair away. But we are not going, remember earlier on we said we don't shame the children. So what do? Okay, Yagui, come stand next to me. Maybe the chair is not working for you at this time. Take the chair away. The child is still standing, no chair, but it's next to you. You know, so some of these things we have to consider. No threats. I've heard of teachers saying that you cannot go home, Ben, you don't clean up. But the school bus is waiting, you know. You cannot not let Ben go home. You have to let Ben go home. So don't say things that you cannot do. All right? That is a very common one because every child wants to go home. So naturally, the teacher will say, you cannot go home. The child will not get it. Actually, you won't be able to keep me in school, actually.
What if we say, you cannot play?
You cannot play. Okay, don't, good. You cannot play. Does it mean anything to the child, number one? It's almost like we're taking away the privilege, right? But when we say you cannot play, I would want to take it a step further. If you are going to throw the blocks across like that, I think to keep all of us safe, I choose for you to play either this or this, not the block. You know what I mean? Give alternatives. I have seen children who are very excited about the blocks. Sometimes they just right? I know it's not safe. And then I will say, I will have to decide what is not safe about that. Then I will say, okay, if this is the way you are playing, I see that your friends are not ready for this kind of play. I'm going to take you and you choose this or this. Some children will insist, no, I don't want. I say, but we are not giving them, we are not asking them, you know. Yakui, would you please come and play this? We are not asking them. Offer alternative. Please don't ask them questions. Want to go school or not? That's the most common. Somebody want to say something? Oh, Ben. Okay.
So in that situation where, say, they're throwing the blocks, and so you say, okay, you're not playing safely, and you give them, you can do this or this, and they still, I don't want anything. Is it okay to say, okay, well, you can just sit here then? Is that?
Does the child prefer to sit?
Yeah, so you give them that, say, okay, well, you can sit on the chair and watch everyone then? and then they can make their other choices again?
Yes and no. If the child, by sitting on the chair, helps to ease that, then I would say you take a seat on the chair and you decide what you want to play. You know, that then as she's dressing, she repeats the sequence. She repeats the lines that the characters have to say, and then she reminds the audience what you have to do. Start practicing like an audience, like you are in the audience. What do you do? Okay? So these are some of the things that can be happening. But the toilet thing is real, really real. And usually it's the same child who goes to the toilet, come back in, we just went 5 minutes and you still want to go toilet. Okay, all right, next. Okay, this is a scenario 2. Lesson is music, 2 to 3 year olds. And what possible behaviors to look out for? Usually the children don't sit in chairs like that. This was during COVID time. And it's a music lesson. So what possible behaviors to look out for? Okay, there's one. Fidgeting in the chair. The friends. Because when in a regular setting, they will be spread out, right? But if you had to do a lesson where they are seated like that and you need some movement, you will be expecting them falling off the chair. You could expect them bumping into their friends. So what do you think we can do? You have to picture yourself as the teacher. But you cannot tell me I won't put them in a chair. Anybody want to try?
We can talk about what happens, how they're going to feel if they fall out of the chair, they get hurt. Remind them, we need to sit properly. It's not just because we want you to sit that way, but if you don't, you're going to fall. You'll hurt yourself or hurt someone else.
Yes. Prepare them. What happens if they wriggle out of the chair? They will fall. And prepare them in a way that they will understand. Because children at this age, they need to move. And so before that, we will get the children to do this. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. How can you wiggle in a safe way? So they practice wiggling. And then when they are flapping their scarf, then we get them to make sure they go this way. And if they are going side, they should be looking out for. Can children catch all this? Yes and no. Some can, some cannot. Okay, but we will get them to be ready. What happens when you fall? So if you are wriggling in a safe way, you will not reduce the chance of you falling. Okay, next. Okay, mathematics lesson, mathematics 5 year olds. What helps in this setting? This is a half class. Usually our classes are in 30 children, but this is a half class. The teacher is alone with the children. I think there's an assistant. And then what do you see in the setting that you think will help? They need to do pair work. Yes?
Well, it looks like the teacher was organized and prepared. They have everything there ready.
Yes.
Each table has what they need already instead of running around trying to find things.
Yes. So well organized thing in terms of the flow. I want the children to sit and I give a certain questions. Children help children to understand. Okay, this is the second part of the lesson, the later part of the lesson, where they get the children to then go into groups. There is sufficient space. There is also sufficient materials. Okay, it's like a group coming together and then putting them into different groups. Okay? Would you do it the other way around? Like you straight away, you come in, everybody go to the table. Would you do it that way? And then you give instructions from where you stand. No. Yeah, because when the children are seated with their friend, with the materials, they will start to meddle. They will not listen to you anymore. So gather them first, and then give the instructions, then you send them out. Okay, next. Scenario 4, lesson construction 5-year-olds. What is happening here? If you would see the children are all seated there, and in front of them there is a long table, and just next to the teacher there is a pile of blocks on her right and on her left. Okay, this particular lesson is interesting. They have children playing the different roles. Some are builders, some are the collectors. Okay, so again, we talk about the setting. How is that helping the teacher? Is it clearly divided? Do you see that they are clearly divided? Left table, right table, a long table, and the children are all seated in front of the long table. Okay? When we are organizing our activities in this way, we want to make sure that there is sufficient demarcations. Very clear. The first table is for, there are, what is that called? Hula hoops, okay, where the builder is supposed to build. And the two piles are children who are supposed to go and collect. So we need to be clear in the way we divide the classrooms. All right, next one. Okay, redirecting distracting behavior is one of the ways for us to help with classroom. Okay, if more than one child is showing signs of restlessness, then it is time to do something. What would you do? If I know that the answers are actually printed, you know. So when you realize that you are doing an activity and children are starting to get restless, has this happened in your class before? Yes. So then what did you do, Ming? You want to share with us? What usually would you? Yeah, thanks, dear.
I stopped the activity and got them to stand up and exercise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get them to stand up and exercise. Get them to move a little bit. Okay. Next, Zoe, the thing will come up. Yes. Plan an interesting schedule of activities. This is one of it. What Ming has shared is another. I immediately catch it. The children are restless. Let's stand up. Whatever you are doing, you can do the bilateral, you can do brain gym, you can do whatever, get them to move a bit before you carry on. Yeah? Another reason, another way before that, plan an interesting schedule of activities. That would mean there will be some downtime, there will be some activity, there will be some, different learning styles, different pace. Yeah? Next. So when a child consistently misbehaves during activities, invite the child away from the scene of the difficulty. Next. Get the child to sit alone. Okay, so when you invite the child, okay, 5-year-olds is quite common when you're trying to do something and they start to fidget and they start to do this when they are not invited to answer, they answer. And then we need to invite them, but we invite them and then what do we do with them? Very long ago when I started as a teacher, we were given the suggestion to do time out. Very long ago. It means the child, we will invite them, I cannot imagine, Jackie, we have progressed since. We even named the chair naughty chair, Progressive, we need to consider what it does to the children. Go to the naughty chair now. The child is like, why? Yeah, so, but we need to, we are moving away for naming the chair number one, naughty chair, naughty corner. Sometimes the teacher run out, naughty corner, go to the corner, So please let us consider, what does that do to the child? We need to invite the child away. Away to where? Don't send them to any corners or chair. Sit them alone, you can do that, but still within your sight. That means if I'm in a circle, I need to move the child in comparison to that, the things that you have. I can only think of this now. Thank you, Sing Yi. And avoid producing feelings of shame. Okay, we don't tag, right? I'm sure we don't tag the children with, oh, you are naughty. We don't tag. But we can say that the action may be causing some danger. Naughty hands, for some parents still use that, I think, And we don't label the child as naughty. But maybe the action needs to be corrected. Efforts in lesson plans, this one we talk about it. Meaningful engagement, make sure the children have enough time to share their ideas, and caters to meet the different learning styles. What are some of the learning styles? Auditory, visual, kinesthetic, they need to touch. So when we are planning, we need to have a mix of this, allowing them to listen. Close your eyes, everybody. I want you to stand up. Do this, do that. They tune into the auditory and visual. Okay? And then kinesthetic. Let's play a game. You do what you see. So I say that, okay, you do what you see, huh? I will say that, put your hand on your tummy. But if you do what you see, you will put your hand on the head. Some of these meaningful engagement, a variety to the children. Maybe in a lesson, you see everybody is moving, you may want to just jump in to take a break in this manner. Okay? And then transition of activities from table work to sitting on the floor. I think most of the classroom are sufficiently spaced. You have a space for them to sit, you have a space for them to write. And all the classrooms are within, you are held within a space. In Singapore, all the classrooms are divided by cupboards. Cupboards. So it's different. It's easy for children to move. But over here, it's contained within, so it's good. Incidental learning, taught versus taught. So you want to be descriptive. Like what I mentioned. Oh, Rodelaine is very well. Helping her friend to bring the bottle back to the tray. So you do this incidental learning. And when she is doing that, she is allowing us to start the next activity. So some of this, what we describe, has an impact. Next. Environment, the third teacher for the child. And the child must also come into a space where it allows the child to help himself, help herself. The shelves are open and at the height, and they can retrieve whatever materials they need. Okay, that will cut down on your behavior issues you may have. And develop a conducive environment that is caring. Okay, so just what I talked about just now. The children feel safe. Do they feel safe to come to you and share with you? Or will you judge them? So this is another one. Provide love, care, concern for each child. Help them to have a sense of security. Where they know if they spill water, no problem, let's solve the problem together. And design the environment to meet the needs of the children. If something that the children are always reaching out, make sure that it's within their height, yeah, so that they will be able to help themselves, build independence. Next. Okay, now it's time for you to share. Take a look into our classrooms. Okay, next, Zoe. I give you a little bit of a background. You want to share something? Look at this, huh? So this lesson is a dramatization, okay? They are putting on costume so that they can dramatize a short story. So what are the possible behaviors that can disrupt the class? If you notice, how many teachers in this classroom? One, that's right. What is the teacher doing?
Helping the kids.
Yes, helping the child put on the costume. And then what else do you see? That's right. Oh, okay. That's nice. So what do you see? The teacher is putting on costume. Do you see some children on your right? Who are those children? They are already dressed. So how many children are still waiting to be dressed? Yes, all the rest they are sitting. What are the possible behaviors that can disrupt the process? The other class is outside. Oh yeah, the see-through, right? Okay. What could that pose to, sometimes we become the enabler. We sort of like, put us in a situation where children can easily behave in a way, the way they conduct is not helping me to complete the process. I need to dress the children, and I need the children to stand in a line, and I need them to deliver the lines of the characters so that, they have some children as audience. So what do you think? Come, let's hear from you. What could possibly happen? That's it, man. No, please hold it in, Nicholas.
And normally when the other kids are already finished and then the other kids are still waiting, they got bored, and then the finished one, they start running around.
Yes. You will see those children all dressed already, standing. How long do you think they can stand there? And those waiting to be dressed, how long do you think they can sit? She has 45 minutes to this lesson. So what do you think? Yeah, so some of the children want to go toilet. So how? Fawn, how? You are trying to dress them, and then there is this child, Bo. I want to go toilet, teacher Fawn. So what do you do? What do you do? What do you usually do? What would you do if you were the teacher? Yes, Bo?
For me, I will ask that person, can you wait? If that person, I really need to go, say, okay, let's all the classroom go together.
Wow, but teacher, I've got the children in costume, there are bears, there are, what is that, wolf, how to all go, huh? Yes.
If I know I'm going to do something like this, try to make sure everybody went to the toilet before this even happens.
Yes. Both of these happen. Number one, I make sure everybody goes to the toilet. Well organized. Number two, it also happened. Everybody went toilet and Nicholas still want to go toilet. Yes, I will ask, can you hold? I cannot. And then what do? The teacher will have to step outside. Help! And then there's another teacher outside, you see? Can you help me take Nicholas to the toilet? This way, okay? That is one. What other possible behavior? Go toilet, and then they start to move around the white screen, allow them to look through. Any more? Give me one more.
Maybe out of boredom, because they've been waiting there for a while, they might change their minds. They might not want to participate anymore.
Yes, exactly, Nicholas. And that would actually happen. So boring, they will say, your lesson's so boring, right? Because waiting time too long. It's amazing. You know what this teacher did? She's dressing them. At the same time, she is recalling with them. Oh, you are the wolf. What is the wolf supposed to say? Dress one already. And then get ready. When the wolf is coming out of the house, what are you supposed to do? Get another one dressed. So she was doing this all the time, one person. It was quite fast. By the time she finished dressing 10 of them, the rest who are audience, oh, you are the audience. As she dressing, she get them to remember the lines, repeat the sequence, and talk about what it means to be an audience, to be in the audience. I remember the time Our school has concert. Jackie will have our rehearsal in school, right? Full dress. And she talks about the ethics, right? Etiquette of the audience. You are the audience. We're waiting. When the lights are out, what do? Keep quiet. Sit nicely. You know, so these are some of the things that the teacher were doing. The one that okay, that one is talking about when the child view us as friend or a figure, the teacher figure, you know, to the family. That means whatever we say count. They take into what we say. But when that happens, we want to continue to work with the parents. Is it an authority issue? Why does the child not listen to the parents at home? Because we want to bring the parents back to being the first teacher. Yeah? Or some of the strategies like when the child feel more relaxed with us, they will take our instructions or our suggestions. And maybe at home, we try to understand. Is it the parents give her no choice? We can have the aircon, but when it goes off, I'm not switching it on, for example. Yeah? Got that one? Hand up. Okay. This is strategies to classroom management with the teacher. Set boundaries, classroom, class rules, partner queue, seating arrangement. Are all this happening in your classroom? Are all this happening in your classroom? I think for my experience, for my observation, the children are pretty well behaved in the classroom. They sit and then they respond and then it's very orderly. It's very orderly. So perhaps this, you know, but setting boundaries is one of the strategies to classroom management. If you have children talking when you are talking, yeah, then you have to think back, have I not set boundaries? Say, for example, one quite common one is when teacher and children become too friendly. So they use very easy language, you know, language that is a little bit, how should I say? Anybody has an example? Like they may use very adult talk with children. They may use very loose talk with children. Like, hey, auntie phone, you know, I have got teachers calling the children auntie. Auntie phone, that is not something that we would want. We need to set boundaries. They are here and then there is a difference in, you know, and we need to respect that. Or maybe there was once, there is a teacher who spoke to the child and called the child sotong. Okay, in Singapore context, sotong could mean blur because of the ink, right? So they say, hey, what happened? Bill, why didn't you bring the tissue box that I asked for? I told you all yesterday, you know, why you sotong? You know, setting boundaries. Because sometimes the children may be very relaxed with you, you know. And then the next time, you may hear them saying this to their friend. Hey, I think Ben is sotong. You know, so setting boundaries also in this way, the words that we use and all that. So strategies, if you have a child misbehaving, we also want to start with knowing the child, interest in our children. They don't just come here and say, sit down, stand up, queue up, go toilet, wash hands, do this, do that. They are interactive beings, right? And then we also want to hear about their interests. So there is this another one that I will give example, where you are thinking, if you have examples, please share. Am I going too fast? Slow down. So there is this little boy, come to school. Every class he went to, he had behavioral, challenging behaviors. He won't sit, he won't do, he would tease his friend, he would be disruptive. When the friend's building block, he walked past and he kicked. this one, the teacher, whoever see this child, I'm sharing about this child, Jackie would know. And very often we come to the tail end. I think I need to let Auntie Jackie talk to you. Then we'll bring him to her office. Actually giving the teachers a break also, because the tension is too great, right? So when one of the most effective ways is really to get to know the child. And Jackie will talk to him, and then we'll find out a little bit about the family. And then we realize that in his environment, he has no one to show him love. So he comes to school to find love. If I do this, will my teacher still love me? If I do this, will my friends still play with me? But the breakthrough came when we step back and learn about the child. What are you interested in? Trucks. Okay, let's talk about trucks. And what are you good with? Building blocks. Let's do it. Do it so that he begins to feel the acceptance first. When you have a child with challenging behavior, know that this child must be like this because of whatever reasons. And so we need the child to know, I'm here, I'm your friend. But friend must have boundaries, so don't call your, it becomes, I gave the example of sotong, and calling our friend, our children, hey, Auntie Bill. Don't call them Auntie Bill, or Miss, or I think some salutation, Mr. and Miss, are respectfully giving, to where your children are, and helping them to show a little respect. But certain things like calling names and being, in a way, they won't know where the joke ends. So we must be careful when we are using language, setting boundaries, showing an interest in the child. We need to be still polite, still respectful. Model the behaviors you desire in your children and convey that such behaviors are truly important. So we will name the behavior. Good sitting, Anne, not enough. Good sitting, Anne, that helps me to get the other friends ready. You must say that the action has a positive impact. Okay? In Singapore, when we take the children to the toilet, and the teacher will stand between the toilet and the outside. And we will ensure that once they are done, they go stand by the outside. So we don't just say, good standing. Stand so well, Nicholas. But I'm going to say, you are standing so well, Nicholas. You are making it safe for everyone who is using the passageway. So we need to connect that positive behavior to an impact. That means the child's action makes a difference. Okay? So encourage active children participation in decision making. I think we have talked about that to ensure that they feel that their voices are heard. Okay? Develop peer acceptance, peer support, friendships among children. Oh, I have got children who are in the class, they are a little bit more creative, I feel, in a way, and you want them to do this, they will do this. But they will do this with some more things. So, but we're not going to immediately stop it if it doesn't pose any danger. So some children come with that, and if they get caught out a lot from the teacher, the other friends will think negative about the friend, that child. I'm not sure if you notice. And some children, in the class, children are able to tell, do I want to stick with this friend or this friend, the more popular one. The teacher is always calling him out for all the good reasons. This is what we want to do for our children. We must develop the acceptance so that the friends will come along. Yeah? So appreciate and respect diversity, children's opinion and concern. This is also something that I have already spoken about. Next, Zoe. There's another slide for the teachers. Yeah. Discourage competition. That is also something that we have talked about. And social comparisons. Social comparisons could be what? Maybe, I'm not sure about here in Thailand, but in Singapore it's very popular. If I'm going to use the Pikachu. If Pikachu cartoon came out in Singapore, this kind of bottles will appear very soon in the classroom. You know, and do we want to make as an example? Embrace a little chaos between activities. As you are going about telling a story, the little three pigs, I want to use the toilet, I spill my bottle, or for whatever reason, you are sitting in my space, and children can fight about that space. I sat here first. I want to sit next to my teacher. So some of these things can happen. Embrace. We need to know that when children get into that, it's a very natural. They are expressing who they are. And we have to spot it. Whenever this happens, hey, is Rodeline trying to tell me her preference? She wants to sit next to her friend. You know, some of this that you can think about. Good time, use good time management. So when you are planning, you know that this will take a little bit time for children to make choices. Art and painting, you need to get the water ready, you need to get the paint brushes, the paint, the paper, and everything. And you know that you can't do it in 30 minutes. So don't do it in 30 minutes. Plan a little bit more time. Realistically, picture in your mind. If I want to involve the children in setting up, I can't give them 30 minutes. You know, I can't say, Ming, quickly, just choose black or white, very easy, just black or white, what's so difficult? But when children make a choice of colors and things, they may go back to attach to a person. So I was in a class, the child decided to paint the hair blue. I wonder, so we don't say, hey, nobody's hair is blue, right? Have you ever seen? Okay, during that time, not so common. Now, purple, blue, everything, right? So the child actually says to me, because blue makes me think of my mother. I'm in school, my mom is at home, I miss my mom. So when children are making choices in this sense, they don't just choose a preferred color. It may come with the what that color reminds them of. So it's really very good if you want to allow them. So use good time management. When it is a lesson that you want them to participate, allow that time. Okay? Well organized, and it is to make sure that, in the middle, and you say, wait for me, I'm going out to get a cup of water for the painting. Not like that. Everything is there. They have to make sure that you are within the classroom. Yeah? So communicate expectations. Be clear with the children what you expect them to do. Communicate expectations is not being dictative. You don't dictate. Number one, you do this. Number two, you do this. Number three, you do this. I'm not talking about that. Remember, we talked about the time where either they have not enough time to play, not enough downtime. We want that time to hear the children's voices. Yeah? So we want to communicate expectations. I need you to make sure that when you are using the brushes, after you dip, you need to dab. You want to say something?
Wanted you to ask whether you could give some illustrations of communicating expectations, which I think you did just now. I would like you to hold the brushes to put,
Illustrations
so as in examples of how would you communicate.
Okay, which
yes.
I did.
Thank
Okay,
you.
yeah, some of these things. And when the children are playing in different groups, okay, the children playing blocks, all right, you need to make sure that you don't go into the children who are painting. You know, for example, communicate their expectations. So hold them responsible for their behaviors as a form of encouragement and attention. So if Teacher Fawn has a child and she gives this to the child, I need you to make sure when your group is done, all the brushes must go into the cup. You give that to them and you empower them. Oh no, but then if you ask them to collect the brushes, they will topple the cup and the water will be everywhere, and I will have to clean up. But definitely, but the more we are giving them the responsibility, they mature. So it's a question of maturity first or responsibility first. So for us who have worked with children, we know that once we release that responsibility, the children will feel, oh, I'm grown up. I need to do this job well. Right? My teacher gave me this job to make sure that I cover it, so I will do it. So this is where it's coming from. So some of this effective classroom management. Okay, strategies. It involves the family, teacher, and environment. Okay, they are all connected. Before I go on, I just need to confirm that I'm finishing at 10, right? 10, right? Yeah, that's right. And so families, teacher, environment, they connect. So I am not getting some examples from your classroom besides for Nicholas and Ben, the children, the two girls. And if there is any other examples you may start thinking of, and then later we could use it as a case study or whatever. But basically, the strategies to classroom management involves all three. Okay, we are the models of communications. What we communicate to the children is very important. Okay, then we will look at each group, what they bring to the child. Okay, next, dear. Okay, families, do my parents know that they are the first teacher for the child? Okay, so consider that when you have a challenging behavior, do we understand where the parents come from? Okay, whether it's cultural, whether the parents' values. I need to raise my child for him to become a doctor. It's very different, you know. That means the parents already decided. Do we know of this value or whether expectations that the parents place on their child? And homeschool partnership is to have that regular updates. How often do you all get to speak to your parents? Is it on a daily basis? Yes, okay, all right, that's good. And share and come up with strategies together in synergy with what are done at home and in school, vice versa. We want the child to know that I know what are your needs at home, and the same thing, when you come to school, I will support you. A very simple one, okay, drinking water, quite common, right? I think I spoke to some of us here, and the water thing seems to be an issue. How come whole day, the child never drink any water? Or drink so little, only 5 cm? You know, is it common here? For us, it's quite common. And we used to be a kindergarten. Ours was only 3 hours, okay? And then they bring such a full bottle. 3 hours, such a full bottle, please make sure she finish. I tell you, I can almost imagine, drink water, go toilet, drink water, go toilet. You know, so some of these, then we understand. Oh, is it something that is of concern? Oh, because at home he doesn't drink at all. Then I want to understand what happens when he doesn't drink at home. So that is the partnership with the parents. And we need to help the parents, hear them, and adjust their expectation. We can start with half a bottle. It depends on the timing, how time is organized in the school, okay? So children view their teacher as a friend to the family. So at this point, this one, the interpretation is whether there is authority. I am the teacher. In school, whatever I say, the child brings it home. 30 years ago, there is a mother. She's an architect. She designed the MRT dome at Orchard. Architect. Father is a fighter jet pilot. They cannot get her to sleep without the aircon. So they say, please tell her, no aircon at night. I find it very strange, you know. But hey, it's effective. You talk to the child, and the child, for some reason, she doesn't talk back. She didn't. You know, okay. You know, so some of this, perhaps they view us authority, but in the end, we cannot just let everything come to us. Please do not do this at home. Please do not do this. Please do this, But we get to get the parents on board to share with them what actually is the issue. Because we are the models of communication to the child. Parents, teachers, and other caregivers. Yeah, next.
Like sometimes there's a tendency to not see children holistically. So we only see one aspect and we think that that's very important for them. So from the neck up, I would think that it is cognitive development. But there are so many aspects for our children to grow in. Physically, spiritually, emotionally. So there are all the other aspects that we also need to think about.
Yeah, that's right. Intellectual cognition. I need to develop you to read, to write, to do this, to do that. But actually, the whole person, we have our emotions, we have our other developments, So if we do not look at this, the child as a whole, there are parts of it. I'm telling you that we have to do a lot of catch up, like what Ben says. After a while, as they are growing, you need to undo certain things that you have felt that it was good for the child. Intellectual, read well, spell well, read well, write well, So this is where we're coming from. And the next possible reason is we stifle children's natural creativity and love for learning. When the children come in, they follow a timetable. Yes, every class would be, right? In the timetable, do we have time for them to express this? Yeah? Actually, children are naturally, they love exploring. Right? They come in, they touch certain things, they notice things are different. They have a mind of their own. So I just want to mention it again. We have a timetable to follow. But do we have that pockets of time where they can express their creativity? Yeah. They love to make choices. Do you see children in your class who find it difficult to choose, to make choices, to speak up? Look out for these children. Yeah? Because they will then, certain behavior may turn out in other areas. Yeah? So we pit children against one another. Oh, Anne is doing better than me. See, look. Or we say things like that. And they get very anxious, I need to be always better than Fawn. I don't like playing with Fawn. She makes me feel lousy because teacher says she's very good. But teacher never say I'm very good. So we pit them against, and they feel, after a while, they may not feel that they belong. So this is one other reason that they may misbehave, yeah? Or mistaken behavior. So too much time spent with screens. I think that one is very, 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 very real. I'm not sure about in Thailand, but in Singapore, when you go to the food court, when there is a family, there is a young child, there will definitely be a mobile in front of him. Some even use iPad, bigger screen. And there's no interactions. There's no relationship building. And that is why children's behavior becomes and can become an issue. They are mistaken. They are mistaken when they want to say a little bit more, when they want to do a little bit more, So we want to look out for the difference between misbehavior and mistaken. So when we go through this reason, mistaken behavior and misbehavior. Mistaken is when we interpret their behavior to be certain. But we need to be sure that we know where the child comes from. That's why we talk about Ben's child, whether at home, what is it like for her? Is it no one is actually interacting with her? okay? And when we talk about Nicholas' child, who only prefers to speak with her friends, but may I know, Nicholas, does the child speak to other teacher like the Thai teacher? Also no, okay. Likely it is a selective mutism in that range. We can talk a little bit more. Okay, so a child's behavior communicates, but are we listening? So when a child is exhibiting a certain behavior, step back. For a start, we can look at the 7 reasons. Yeah? And then you go into the family, what is it like, the dynamics at home. Yeah? And then what is the interactions with the other teachers, with the other adults. So we look at all that. Okay? So then we are going to into classroom management, I believe. So what is classroom management? What is classroom management? How many of us, right, when we plan a lesson, when we go into the lesson, we follow the step and we make sure we complete the lesson? How many of us would usually do that? Stop. Then you will follow the... So what happens when, do you find most of the time you are able to do that? Complete the lesson? Okay, if it is, he doesn't think, sometimes he doesn't, you want to pick up the mic and share. And usually what are those times? And usually what happened in that session that doesn't allow you to complete the lesson?
Well, it can be, so like we're doing blending, and so some sounds are very difficult. So like recently, CH and SH, they were kind of just making the same sound because they're very similar, but one is just short and sharp and the other is spread out. So sometimes it's having to take extra practice to get them to say it correctly, or sometimes it's my fault, I get sidetracked.
Sidetrack.
But generally that's what it is, where it's more difficult, or they're having more trouble than expected, and so I have to take more time to practice to help them to be able to get there.
Yes. Okay, nice. So this classroom management, he is managing it with what he said. Sometimes when the blends are difficult, they need more time. Yeah? So in the case like this, when the lesson doesn't complete, it is realistic expectations. If the first time you are going with the teaching the sound, then you cannot expect them to immediately pick up. Okay? So yes, in a way he didn't get to complete the lesson, but we look at it maybe to us, they have not completed the learning. But learning comes after the classroom, it comes beyond, and it's still happening all the time. Okay, that's one example. Any other example where you find yourself challenged by children's behavior? Wow, very nice, huh? I think it's like almost, they sit down, they will pay attention, they will do whatever, okay. So let's talk. What is classroom management? Next, Zoe. Okay, teachers' ability to manage their classroom so that the most optimal learning environment is achieved. You go in and you want them to talk about a topic, and then you get the children to respond. You have allowed them the environment to learn to respond. Next. So classroom management is also where we look at the process of ensuring that the classroom lessons run smoothly despite disruptive behavior. So that is what we talk about. Completing the lesson, but the disruptive behavior by children, have we experienced that in your classroom? Think quiet. Very good children. Next. So what is effective classroom management? Later on, we will look at some of the scenarios, and these are some of the things that we think towards. I give you some of these phrases so that we can think in terms, but the list can go on. You could add to the list because you have experienced different children. So keep children on task. So when children are working on task, and if they continue to stay on task at the table, or they run all over the place, they did not finish, some of these.
There's this girl, she's not fully Thai, so her family, I think, has another nationality. So her English skills are good. Her Thai skills are also good. But I cannot get a word out of her from morning till evening. And this has been going on for the start of the semester.
Okay. A semester that is 6 months.
The term, sorry.
A term
Yes.
that is 3 months.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So there's the girl, language skills are good, English skills are good, and Thai language is also good. Just that when she comes in, she doesn't say a word. Does she nod to your, yes, she nods, and she does the non-verbal communications. So pack that in your mind a little, then we go back to look at, does she participate in the classroom? Okay, she doesn't talk to you, but does she talk to her friends? She does. It's just not talking to you. Okay. It's nothing about the teacher, and I've had this in my class, a few of them, okay, different years, okay, and it's interesting that they just talk to their friends, but not to the teacher, but when at home, she's perfectly fine. Okay, so this is not an unusual, but it could be under selective mutism. I'm not sure if you have heard before. Okay, that is one example. Any other example? Okay, Ben.
I have a girl who, so she is Chinese, and so her English is very good. Her Thai is not so good. But she's the opposite problem, where it's almost impossible to get her to stop talking. To the point where she has to gasp for air. She talks so much while she's talking. And so it's.
Okay. Can we get them to meet?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is another good example. We hold this example so that even as we go through the list, then we can see if, could that be the reason? Okay, the first one, children have almost no time to play. Have you noticed any children in your class whom you feel have not enough time to play? What will it look like? When they come into school, all they look for are friends, playtime, and they find it a little bit hard to pay attention to the tasks that they do at the table. So for example, Ben's little one, she comes in, she talks non-stop. Is that also what she does at home? Have you spoken with the parents?
It kind of seems like there is constant activities for her. There's always scheduled. It's like sports. She plays hockey. She does basketball. She does a lot of stuff, but it doesn't seem like free time to just do what she wants. I don't know if there's much of that.
Thank you. So it's picking up one of the reasons. Children have no time to play, and further a little down, they have very little downtime. I mean, for adults, if I try to imagine and picture, Yahweh says you work Monday to Sunday. You work Monday to Friday in school, Saturday, Sunday, you do this homework, Monday you come back and you prepare for class. There is almost no time to play. We all agree that children need to play. Do we agree? Yeah. Parents agree or not is another thing. Because sometimes parents have their own expectations. But we must understand that children need time to play. Why is play important? What do you notice when the children come together and they play? Think in terms of the playtime in your classroom. What happens during playtime? And very nice. I've got people constantly sharing. Okay.
ค่ะก็เวลาเห็นเด็กเล่นกันเห็นเขามีความสุขมาก แล้วก็เวลาเขาคุยอะไรกันมันเป็นอะไรที่บางครั้งเราก็โอ้เด็กเขาคุยกันอย่างนี้หรอแล้วมันก็รู้สึกน่ารักมากค่ะ
Yakui will do the translation. Is it?
So when she observed that when children have time to play, they really are able to be very relaxed and they show their true self and they're very cute. Yeah, so she's able to see that too.
The true self. Okay, that means if you're bombarded with many activities, you can't find your true self. The concept of self. Who am I? Am I just my parents' child? Where I go from sports class to swim class to writing class to reading class. Who am I? So that is an important one, okay? Unrealistic expectations. Okay, that is to say when they come in or when they're at home, after school, they go home, they continue to do writing. Unrealistic expectations. That is, it always takes us back to who the child is. And if they get a chance to play, when they get to play, they get to be what you experience. Choose what you prefer. Making choices is important for children. Okay? And then little or to no downtime. That is where we talk about, it goes back. And very little time children get to make choices. Making choices will discover who they are. Right? And it is important. Why is it important? Why is it important that you know who you are? Why is it important that your children know who they are? Why is it important that the children know they can make choices? Ben, the hand is almost going up.
Well, in the future, they have to be able to do this on their own. So if they don't know, and if they aren't learning who they are now, and they have to do this when they are 20, they're going to be behind everyone else. And it was that way for me growing up, because my family's religion, they pushed everything on, and nothing else mattered except for that. And I didn't know, but I was very far behind everybody around me in that way. And it can be very, very damaging for a person, and it puts them behind by years and years, because if they go to college for something that they don't like, then they're in a job that they don't like. It's really, either they have to change in the middle of their life, or their whole life is miserable because they're doing stuff that they don't even like.
Yes, I'll pick up on the changing in the middle of the life. That is why the foundation we give to the children to affirm who they are. The image of the child we covered the last round, right? Yeah, and it is building the confidence that they know. Okay, there is a term, there is a phrase that says sense of agency. When the child says something, it is translated to actions. I prefer Milo, Mom, today, this morning. It is translated to action. And some of this affirm, it goes back to form. I am in control of certain things. Yeah? So then we treat children as though they exist from the neck up. Anybody gets an idea what it means? Who wants to try to share what it means when we say that we treat children as though they exist only from the neck up? Can I hear from the Thai teacher? I think it's quite good for me to understand. What does it mean when it says, we only look at the children from the neck up? then Yahweh will have to say.
Is it- What I think of that is that we try to pack their heads full of knowledge, but we don't care about how they feel or any other things. Just like they should remember and learn all these things, but how to use it or how they feel about it, we don't take into account at all.
Yes, exactly.
And just to add on,
Okay. Coffee. Okay, Nicola, Ben doesn't know. Okay, nice. Okay, thank you. I think this little exercise is to allow your conversations and to know one another. Okay, Zoe, let's go to the next slide. All right. When it comes to children's behavior, we all have our experience in the classroom. Every class is different, and every age group is different. And even the part of the year where you relate with them, you will see that it's different. Yeah, in the beginning of the year when they come in, they have a certain behavior, and then as they progress, some of this behavior may grow. They may grow out of some of these behaviors. So I just want to go by the definition, two of them. How children conduct themselves. Okay? Think in terms of your classroom, the children in your classroom. How do they conduct themselves? When they come in, are they all loud? Do you have some children in your class early in the morning when they come in, full of energy, right? And do you have those who come in and they don't say a word, they don't move, they don't eat, they don't do anything? Okay, think in terms of that. And it is also a form of communication. An example is good one would be crying. And when they cry, what do you say to them? Okay, next. So communication milestones is really a general milestones. Okay, development varies in individuals. And the context, I'm sure in your classroom you have parents coming from China and maybe Thailand. And do you have any other nationality? This Russian. Do you say Russian? Oh wow, half Russian. Okay, that is Russian Thai. Okay. Anyone else that is different?
Japanese.
Oh, Japanese. Okay, that's right. So they all come from different cultures, and it will look very different in terms of what parents value, the language that they use. All this will go into the communication that we share with the children. So, but we are looking at skills children are expected to have at a certain age. Then again, the context. Yeah? And then, of course, skills here, we look at speech and language. And the milestones of hearing and understanding and talking. Yeah? Anybody has questions about that one? Okay, maybe then we just hear from, or Min just step up. Okay, it's all right then. Next. So these are the 2 to 3 years, understands opposite words. Even as I go through the list, you just think in terms of the children in your classroom. The reason we are going through this, it gives you an idea. You know, perhaps we can consider why the child is not understanding or yet to respond to what I'm saying to them. So for the 2 to 3, they understand opposite words. Simple ones: go, stop, up, down, sit, stand. Follows 2 steps directions. Put your bag on the shelf and come sit in the front. Okay? And they understands new words pretty quickly. Words for familiar people, they are able to name places, my mom, my dad, my teacher, my friends. And then they talks during playtime, pretend play. Choo-choo, you will notice. Yeah, the speech that they have. The bear is going up the mountain, coming down the mountain. they will ask why, and they can put 3 words together to talk about and ask for things. Who are the ones in 2 to 3 year olds classes? How many do we have? Rodlin, you are your children are 2 to 3. Okay, you have 12 of them, did you say? Okay, 12 kids. When you look at the list, how is it telling you or informing you? Do you see this happening in your children? Oh, we went through the list, it's okay. We went through the list, yeah, there? 2 to 3 year olds, and if you see this in them,
For example, the talking follows to subdirection, word for familiar people. It's quite hard for them. Like, for example, since I'm teaching English, the first time I met them, they cannot even understand how to stand up and how to sit down. So I really have to teach everything if it's in English.
yes. So, Rodolin has just introduced another element, which is language.
Yeah.
If it is a second language, then
It's
it will be
hard for them to,
correct. It's
to
hard
follow
for them.
instructions.
Yes. Okay. So what about in your native, in Thai? Who is teaching 2 to 3 years? Who is your partner? Wow. Could you just look at this list, right? And see if your children are about like this.
เด็กเป็นแบบนี้ไหมตามที่เขาที่
ใช่ค่ะเป็นแบบนี้ค่ะ
Yes, okay, that is good. Thank you very much. And then we go on to 3 to 4 years. If you look at the list, they respond, the child responds when you call from another room. That means distance. The child will still be able to respond. Understands word for some colors, shapes. Understands word for family, brother, grandmother. And when talking, a 3-year-old turning 4-year, they will be able to answer simple who, what, and where questions. Says rhyming words, hat, cat, and they uses pronouns I, you, and they uses plural words. They are able to say toys, cats, when it is numerous. They are able to ask when and how questions. Okay? Puts 4 words together, I go to school, for example, and talks about what happened during the day. Okay? So then, yeah, that's right, Zoe. Going to the 4 years and beyond. Okay, 4 turning 5 years, turning 6. They understand words for order. First you do this, next you do this, last we put on shoes and we go out. Understands word for time. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Follows 3-step directions. Get the crayons, paper, and come to the table. Understands most of what is said and at home and in school. Talking, they can tell a short story. They can come back to you after a weekend and say, Teacher Ann, this is what I did during the weekend. Yeah? And they can talk in different ways depending on the listener and place. Do you realize that they communicate and they share very differently from teacher to teacher and even with their parents? Uses short sentences with younger children. They are able to adjust. Okay? And so we have gone through the milestones, and this is where we will build today's session on. Think in terms of what they are able to understand and to tell you, Teacher Bo, this is not what I want, And these are some of the 7 reasons, but these are not the only reasons, all right? These are not the only reasons. We look at, do we have time for children to play? So before we go from the milestones into some of the reasons, perhaps some of you could share some of the challenges you are facing. can you think of a child who may every day, maybe 3 episodes, 2 episodes, or even from the day when the child comes in to the end, there seems to be some behavioral struggles, challenges. You may want to share. Yeah, Nicholas, come on. How old are the children you are taking?
So I'm in K2. Most of my kids are around 3 to 4. Some of them are 4 on going to 5. But I would like to talk about one particular.
So that we can continue to work together. We want to value them and we want them to value us so that together we support the child. Okay? Thank you everyone for your attention. It's lunchtime. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jackie. I think one of the things that we find really real is about how the parents respond to us when there is a crisis. I think some of our teachers would know when certain things happened, and when that piggy bank is filled, their responses are basically quite. Yes.